protein packed sweet potato with stuffed poblano peppers. What's up everybody? Jay here with Jay's Backyard Cookie. And today we're getting into some protein loaded sweet potatoes. Let's get into it. All right, so the hardest thing about this cook is gonna be washing the potatoes. Wash your potatoes, don't be nasty, they grow on the ground, wash them. And then putting them in the oven. I'm gonna set these at 400 degrees. They're probably gonna take about 45 minutes to an hour. It is currently 2:30 right now, so that's gonna be perfect for right when we're used to eating dinner. The other thing I have here is one ribeye steak. Should be enough for both me and my wife. Some mozzarella cheese that we're gonna sprinkle on top. The steak I'm probably gonna put on the grill just because it should turn out just fine. I also have a couple of poblano peppers that I'm not sure yet. I may bore these out and stuff some string cheese in there and throw them on the grill as well while I'm grilling up the steak. I bet they'll come out pretty good. Okay, once you get them washed up, I like to get a fork and just stab them. Poke some holes in there, try to get some heat in the middle there. You can use a knife. Don't really suggest that I do it every once in a while, but if you're not careful, well, we all know what that can lead to. So use precaution even with the fork, but just stab it all the way around. And then depending on how much you and your family actually eat, you might want either bigger or smaller potatoes. These are gonna be perfect for me and my wife. All right, once we have the holes, I like to pour some EVO on it, kind of get that crust, that skin kind of crispy, and then salt it. I'm not sure if we're gonna eat the skin or not, but just in case, we wanna add some good flavor to that. So we're gonna wrap it up. And do the next one. Get this one wrapped up. And then once that oven hits 400, we'll throw them in. Actually, I'm gonna throw them in now, it doesn't matter. But like I said, with these poblanos, I'm gonna bore out one end. And I'm doing it just because we had them planned for another meal, and I never got around to making it. So, and I don't think that I'm gonna make both of them because me and my wife won't eat all of them. I'm not even sure if my wife will eat them, but so I'm only gonna make two. But these are gonna be pretty simple. Again, wash your veggies. These grow outside and need to be washed. So like that, and then maybe we'll get a little fancy with it and put the tops back on. We'll see how that goes. I don't know that that's gonna work, but maybe throw some toothpicks to hold them closed just for aesthetics. As far as the cheese goes for these poblanos, it's just the string cheese from H-E-B. Nothing fancy there. Get one strung open, shove it in there. Maybe cut this one in half. Shove it in there just like that. We'll grab another one over here. Cut this one in half as well. Just like that. This is probably gonna be a little overkill, but would have made for a good picture. All right, I'm gonna try it once to put some toothpicks in there just to hold it in. If that don't work, I'm giving up. So what do you know? There you go. Mozzarella stuffed poblano peppers, because the original plan didn't work. The original meal we didn't get to. So again, this is just gonna be for a tete. It's still gonna ooze everywhere and get all over the pit. There you have it. 2 mozzarella stuffed poblano peppers. So we got those put in the refrigerator, and we'll wait probably about an hour and a half before we get started on the steak. All right, those potatoes are done. Let's get it seasoned up. Classic Texas style, the way JBC does it all the time. Salt, pepper, garlic. Can't go wrong with that. So season to your liking. Pat it in, make sure to get all the sides. Once this is done cooking, we're gonna debone it. This actually has a bone in it, so we're gonna debone it. And then we're gonna chop it up into real small pieces, as small as I can get them with just a normal knife. But I like cooking anything that has a bone. I like to cook it with the bone on. I feel like it gives it a little extra flavor. Gives it a little bit of oomph, if you will. And then as far as cooking it goes, what I plan to do is put my glove on right first. Is I have this skillet right here that I'm going to use to saute some onions and grill the steak on one side at the same time. I'm going to saute the onions, and then once the steak is charred, I'm going to put it into the pan with the onions. It'll just give it a little bit of extra flavor. And we can have grilled onions with our meal if we want. These we just chop down to your liking, thick or thin. Totally up to you. Just like that. Then the only thing that I'm gonna put in there is these butter dollops from HEB. Probably 2 of them. Should be more than enough. Let's get it all on the grill. If you'll see, I have the cast iron back here. We're gonna get that going. I got the poblanos down here. We'll get those grilled up on the side for a little bit. Not for too much. You can already smell them. Just, I'm gonna give those a quick turn. The toothpicks aren't wet, so they're trying to burn. That's why I don't want to leave them on there for too long. Just keep an eye on those. Once they get little kind of charred, then we'll throw them on top. Little ooze coming out. That's what I was looking for right there. That's it, with a little bit of char. Leave those like that for a little bit. Get these stirred up. These should be fine right there now. Just gonna let that ooze into the plate there, into the pan. And get these switched over a little bit. Nice crust. It's going as planned. Obviously the steak you're gonna want to cook to your preference. We're more medium rare, So at this point, I'm taking it off. I'm gonna put it in the pan here for a little while. Gonna let that sit there for a little bit. And we'll see you back inside. All right, back inside. This is what we got. The poblano peppers, cooked down nice and tender. Put those on the side. I'm gonna take the steak out, and we're gonna save these onions for a little bit. With this steak, I'm gonna trim out the bone, very little. I thought it had a full strip here. It doesn't. But with this, we're gonna trim off. We're just gonna chunk it up as much as we can, as small as we can. And I'm real surprised there wasn't more bone in there than what it was. But again, get it chopped up into slices here. And then from there, we'll just turn it all sideways and dice it up this way. This is definitely one of those recipes. If you're new to my channel, or if you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that all of my recipes are just giving you guidance on what I do. You add your own seasoning, take away your own seasoning, or take away any seasoning that I'm using that you don't like. Use a different kind of meat. I believe the original recipe that I saw for this one called for ground beef, if I'm not mistaken. We have these steaks in the freezer still that we're trying to use up before our vacation. Trying to leave a empty freezer and refrigerator, so I'm just trying to get everything cooked up in some way or another from in there. And again, as far as the chopping, as small, as little, leave it sliced. I contemplated leaving it sliced, but it just seemed like it would be a little easier to eat cubed up like this. So this is what we're running with right here. So from here, we'll get our sweet potatoes unwrapped. You'll see I have the aluminum foil pan now lined with foil paper. We're gonna get these potatoes split. Right down the middle. Like that. Like that. We're gonna grab a fork or a spoon and kind of mush up all of that inside. Just like that. Nice and mushy. And I still have the oven on, because these are going right back in the oven for a little bit. And if you see that one steak, I mean, this, why I said this was a protein packed sweet potato. Just like that. You know, drizzle on some of these onions, caramelized onions, right on top. So they serve two purposes, with giving the steak some flavor, and now as a topping. To this now, we're gonna drizzle some mozzarella cheese. right over the top. Doesn't have to be too much, to your liking. And then we're going back into the oven for about maybe 10 minutes, just enough for all this to come together and get a little crispy. There you have it, folks. Protein packed sweet potato with stuffed poblano peppers. If you like what you saw here, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment. Anything helps. We'll see you next time. You know, folks, today's story isn't about drama in the streets or chairs flying across the stage. It's about a man, a freezer full of meat, and the look. Fellas, you know the look I'm talking about. The one your wife gives you when she opens up the freezer and sees enough protein in there to feed a small football team right before you go on vacation. So there I was, on a mission. Operation Clean Out the Freezer. I grabbed what I had, threw together a protein-packed sweet potato that was simple, delicious, and honestly, way better than it had the right to be. And just like that, one more steak met its destiny. Now the freezer's a little emptier, the wife's a little less grumpy, and dinner was a win. So here's the final thought. In life, sometimes the biggest problems aren't solved with complicated plans. Sometimes you just grab what you've got, throw it together, and make the best meal you can out of it. And fellas, if that meal gets the wife to stop giving you that look, well, that's just not dinner, that's survival.